Hello there, what is going on, everybody? We are going to be taking a look at some of the new stuff from the Hellsmiths of Hashut army. They have come out for Age of Sigmar. These are the Chaos Dwarves. They have finally had their official release of the wider army. About a month ago, they came out with the army box, and they only had a small selection. Basically, it was kind of a spearhead combo with with their tome and some cards and stuff like that. But now we've seen the wider release, including things like the Urak Taar, the first Daemonsmith, Bull Centaurs, their shooters, the Infernal Razors, as well as their priests and mage box, the Daemonsmith or the Ashen Priest, and also the Vandals, and of course in individual army expansions like Dominator Engine box and other things like that. So they've had their wider army release now, and I thought this would be a good time to talk about them a little bit more and do some unboxings. And we're going to start with Urak Taar, the first Daemonsmith. We're going to look at him a little bit. We're going to talk about the army and how he works in the army, and we'll unbox him. We'll take a look at the sprue, and if you want to follow on social media, we'll be doing more paintings and stuff. I've been kind of showcasing some of kind of the color scheme that I've been doing for the army as a whole. This is one of the Dominator engines, and I've really enjoyed these guys. I think magnetization is going to be very important for this army. It's one thing I'm going to be doing, especially for Urak Taar, as he is not a cheap model, and you're going to want different options. So, if you want to magnetize these guys, so this way you can run different units as different types, that's a very, very good thing to do. So now all of a sudden, there you go. There's my Dominator engine with the Infernal Maces, as opposed to only being able to run him with the cannons. Although I do like the cannons better, so I'm putting those back on. But again, this is going to be an important thing to do. We've done the same thing here with this guy. We have the big mortar on there, but I kind of like the rockets a little bit better. And boom, there we go. There's the rockets ready to shoot. So that's my approach to this army. Everything in here has multiple ways that you can run. Well, just about everything in here. I think your Hobgrots may only have one, kind of way to field them, but I think most of these units I'm going to want to be able to run them multiple different ways. Some that'll be easier to do than others. I imagine the Bull Centaurs will be pretty difficult, but I think Urak Taar will be pretty easy to magnetize our rider and to swap out which model we want. We're going to take a look at that, and we'll look at the book and everything in there, and we'll also look at his cards and see how he's going to work. If you guys are interested in more content, I'd love to have you stick around. We are doing 12 Days of Life Day, so that is going to be giveaways all throughout the month of December. 12 giveaways. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my other videos as well. It's as simple as that. That is going to do it for this faction. I do want to open up one thing. This is the first army that I have bought their faction-specific dice, and that is largely because at $34 for dice for 16 dice, it was highway robbery. But I wanted to get some dice because they use demonic power points, and you get a power point every round, and then there's ways to get a few more, and you are able to power up certain guys every turn. And this is important because it's going to apply to how Urak Taar works a little bit. But this is a really important thing for this army. They get basically one power point a round, and they have some ways of getting more. They can spend a command point to get another one. These guys with spears can give out some extra demonic power points as well, which is also a nice thing. But you need to keep track, as every unit can have up to 3. And the more you power up an individual unit, the more powerful that unit gets with those points. And you need to keep track, and it's going to change every turn. So they recommend using dice to do that, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And the thing is, I already have certain dice that I use for other things, like attacking or spells, or like you have a priest, you need dice to keep track of how many ritual points they have. You also need a different colored dice to keep track of how much damage is on them. And then I also have different dice that I use for attacking. And so, and then I wanted to have a dedicated die that I would use for demonic power points, and that's what these are going to be. Unless, of course, they roll really well, in which case I will use cheap dice for demonic power points, and I will set these. So we're going to test roll these. I'm going to take a look at Urak Taar, the first Daemonsmith. All right, so we've got Urak Taar's box here, and I want to show you guys the sides of the box and also the back of the box, because this is going to show you. Now, this was an expensive model, 165, not a cheap model. And the interesting thing about him is there's two different ways you can build him, and really the key difference is the two different riders. There are subtle differences with the head and the beast itself, but the main difference is the rider, because Urak Taar isn't the name of the beast. It is the name of this guy. He is Urak Taar, not that thing. Even though that thing is scarier looking, he's Urak Taar. And so I think that's where the magnetization will come in, is on the rider. That's, I think, going to be the most important part. There are some differences. For example, like the head here, you're going to have like a single head right there, or with that gem, or you're going to have like the smoke effect coming off of that. And that's just part of the customization. If you want to do one or the other, I'm not planning on doing anything super crazy like that. But yeah, so let's go ahead and let's get this thing open. We'll show you what comes in here. We're also going to pull out the cards, and we'll talk about some of the differences between the two models, because it looks like both models are going to be highly desirable, but some lists are going to want one more so than the other. And that's why I think magnetization is so important. We've got the rulebook here. Let's take a look at the sprues. It's massive base. Massive. What is this, 155? I don't know how many millimeters is this base. It should tell me in here, but it's a big old base. Really, really large. 130 millimeter base. So yeah, that's massive. All right, let's take a look. Now actually, surprisingly, we only have two large sprues in here, and this actually looks like it's going to be fairly easy to put together. I'm not seeing too many super tiny pieces. It looks like it's a lot of larger pieces, so I mean, these are about the smallest pieces I'm seeing right away, and that's not bad. That's not bad at all. A lot of the terrain, a lot of the base stuff, which is optional too. Sometimes you don't use the base. Sometimes you do. I might actually use I think the base looks pretty good. I like the broken wood. It shows him kind of rampaging and trampling through. I will probably use a lot of this because of the fact that we're going to try and swap out our riders, and our rider will probably have the magical effect affixed to him. We've got all the wing pieces on this sprue, and our different riders and different flags and all of that regalia that goes along with whichever rider you're using. So again, not a whole lot to the sprue here. I think the beast himself, like, this is a huge piece right here. This is like half of his whole body and his rear leg. So not going to be super hard to put him together. This is maybe undercarriage and then the tail. And then you put the other side together, and it'll start to take shape very, very quickly. The important thing is to figure out where your magnets are going to go before you already glue everything together. And by doing that, we're going to look at the instructions. All right. So yeah, he's pretty much going to go together. Like, just the first page is just getting the whole beast's body together. It goes together real easy. Then the base bits for the sprue. Then you can mount him on there. The sprue bits rather for the base. Mount him together, no problem, right? You can put the wings on. Look at that. You're almost halfway done before you've even decided which kind of guy you're going to use. And then you're building the apparatus, the standing apparatus that your your rider is going to go on. Now, this is where I suspect we're going to have to put magnets in. I think under this part, like right in here, is where we're going to want to magnetize, between 37 and 38. But that all depends on if the rider has, if you're swapping a head or if you're swapping the whole model. All right. And because it's an infernal Taurus. So it shows if you are, and look, depending on if you're building a Daemonsmith on Infernal Taurus, you even have multiple options. You have him holding a scepter or a fireball. And then if you're building Urak Taar, you got him here, and he's also holding this whole massive, scepter with all of that, which is pretty cool with the whole magic effect. Another cool reason that you might want to do sub-assembly here is because maybe you want to do some airbrushing effect on that magic and you don't want it to get all over him, you know, or maybe you do want some of it to get on him. But here you go with building the head and putting the head on last. And here's the different bits for building Urak Taar. And you can see it'll tell you he's using 68, 69, 72, 71, 70, and those bits. But if you are using a different guy, usually he's using completely different pieces right here, 55, 54. So it doesn't look like there's crossover. So it looks like we'll be able to have two completely separate riders that we can just put magnets in their feet, and then I have a magnet below the base here. I don't like to have metal touching. I like to have a magnet underneath. The only time I'll have metal touching is if I'm doing something like this, where it's hanging down, and I need a stronger connection because otherwise it would fall off. And this one gave me a really strong connection there. You know, boom, like it does, it's not gonna fall. Sometimes, you know, if you magnetize something too weak, it'll fall off. But since the miniature is gonna be sitting on top, he's not gonna have gravity pulling him away from the model. As a matter of fact, gravity is gonna be reinforcing it. So we don't need as strong of a connection. So I think it'd be real easy to magnetize that rider and be able to swap between somebody like this and then somebody like that on there. And this way you have WYSIWYG, right? You can run Urak Taar or a Daemonsmith on the Infernal Taurus. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, let's look at the unit card. So I've actually got both the unit card and the full battle scroll page. Now, the difference between the Urak Taar on the first Daemonsmith and the regular Daemonsmith on Infernal Taurus, so the named and the generic, is only 30 points. 350 versus 320. This is the most expensive unit in the entire faction right now, and they look very good, and that is a high price point. However, it's probably not going to be a problem considering that just about everything else in the faction right now is very cheap. So you can have a huge centerpiece model as your general. He is a War Master, so he would probably have to be your general, and have no problem with that because you're still going to have tons and tons of other models on the board. Because everything is really cheap. Most of the good stuff is around 100 points. So, you know, and I don't think there's anything else that's even hits 200. So you can run everything in the army and have points left over to spare. It's that low in points as an army right now. So Urak Taar, 10-inch move, 3-up save, 5 control score, and 16 health. Lot of health. He's got a nice ranged weapon, 18 inches, 6 attacks, 4-up, which isn't great. But he's got crit 2 hits, rend 1, and D3 damage. Not the best ranged attack, but it's not terrible. It's kind of eh. Melee is better. He's got the Drumakaz, which is 4 dice, 4-up, 3-up, rend 1, D3 damage. And then he's got the Gorako's Horn and Hooves, which gets weaker once you're damaged. But that's 6 dice, 4-up, 2-up, rend 2, and a flat 3 damage. So this is the biggest one that's most likely going to do a lot of damage. That one is really good. So yes, I definitely like that one. The other Daemon, the generic also has that. Although the generic has half the number of dice for ranged. So you're getting twice as many dice for your ranged attack. 18 inches, it's not half bad. So that's something to keep in mind. He's got Peerless among Daemonsmiths. And just about everybody has something that's going to give them stuff for their DPP. So again, this is how you power them up. At 1, he's got 6-up ward. At 2, he's got a 5-up ward. And at 3, you add 2 to casting rolls for this unit. Plus he has the 4-up ward from spells, prayers, and manifestations, and still has the 5-up ward. That's a really good ability, especially adding 2 for casting rolls, because he is a Wizard 2. Wizard 2. He's casting 2 spells, and dude, this is an army that has some really good spells. So this is a solid guy right here. He's got 2 spells. Plus he has the Curse of Stone that he can cast, which we're going to look at. He also can fly with the 10-inch move is good. This is a slower army. A lot of the guys are dwarves, so they have 4-inch move. So having some faster dudes are important. He's a War Machine, Hero, Monster, Unique, War Master, Chaos, Hellsmiths of Hashut, and Duarden. So Curse of Stone is a spell. It's a 7 to cast. You're going to pick a point on the battlefield within 9, and then pick a second point within 9 of it. So basically, he's going to be like here, and he's going to go... You're going to pick 2 points, and it does damage to everybody on those lines, but only enemies. It's such a cool damaging spell, and you can have a lot of flexibility with it, and it's fun. You've got this charge phase ability, Pitiless Trampling. If he charged, pick an enemy within 1, inflict D3 mortal damage on the target, then roll 2d6. This unit can move a distance up to that value to reroll. During that move, they can pass through models in the target, but must end the move in combat. This is a very simple... We've seen this ability on tons of other things this edition. It's a cool ability, and it allows you to go even farther, and allows you to also really interrupt gun lines and get into interesting positions where you're also maybe able to limit the number of people that are now going to be in combat with you, so you don't get hit too much, because a 3-up save is great, 16 health is great, but you're not invincible. You don't have a ward save, right? Well, unless you have DPP, which, again, I think this is a top contender for getting your first 3 demonic power points. And then in the enemy hero phase, this is the most important thing I think that he's got beyond everything else, is the enemy hero phase. Master of Demonic Power. You can remove up to 3 demonic power points in total from any combination of friendly units wholly within 18 of him, and then allocate them to a different unit within wholly 18 of them. So he can rearrange the demonic power points and during your opponent's turn, which is incredible, because you can then say, okay, during my turn, I'm going to put DPP on this guy for offense, maybe a ranged unit, maybe an artillery, maybe one of these guys, right? Something like that. And if it's within range, though, if it's within range, that's the key thing. And then I can shift it to somebody that I need it for defense. As a matter of fact, he can even, maybe I'm not casting a whole lot of spells this turn, I can have, DPP on somebody else, and then shift it to me for the ward save, which is real. And there's flexibility, because you can do it in any combination. So that's a really important ability. I wish it had a bigger range, but 18 isn't bad. It just means you can't have him completely dive bomb the enemy line all by himself, too far. And you're probably not doing that anyway. You're probably having him charge in with other people. Speaking of charging in with other people, let's use that as a segue to talk about our generic, who is also really good. 30 points cheaper, but loses some things, gains other things. Okay, and this is why you want to magnetize. So I like this guy. I think he's going to be good with some ranged units. I think he's going to be good. He's a wizard too. I think he's going to be good all around. But yes, being able to move the DPP is going to be better for certain units than others. This guy is going to be for the one you want with your centaurs, I think. He's going to be the one when you want a charging army, because he gives you something incredible. So, only 15 health here. Still 5 control, 10-inch move, 3. He's still hero, monster, war machine, fly, but only wizard 1, which is still good. Still, he's wizard 1, not casting 2 spells. Okay, not a problem. Still very similar for the passive demonic resilience. For your DPP, you get 6 up, 5 up, and then it's still a 5 up, but 4 up. But you don't get the bonus of your of the increase in casting. So his passive is less good. He's still got battle damage. He's still got most of the same attacks, but only 3 inches for the ranged attack. It still crits you hits, shoot in combat, all of that. The horns and hooves is really the money maker, but again, that's still got battle damage. So overall, worse so far, right? This is a nice ability. He's got the Immolating Presence. It's end of turn. You can pick somebody that's in combat with you, roll a die. If the roll exceeds the target's health characteristic, a model in the target unit is slain. This one can be real nice to take out some elite, some 3 health people and stuff like that. So it's a clear and present danger to like high save, medium or kind of low, semi-low health units. That one is really good. But Unholy Stampede, this is where this guy shines, and this is the reason that I run this guy instead of the other guy, depending on how you're building your army. Unholy Stampede says, effect, while a friendly Hellsmith of Hashut cavalry unit is wholly within 12 of this unit, the unit can retreat and still use charge abilities later in the turn, and no mortal damage is inflicted by doing retreats. That is an incredible ability, especially with the Bull Centaurs that want to be charging in and doing damage. A very cool ability. If you're going to kind of go all in on Bull Centaurs, you want this guy. If not, then you want this guy. That's my kind of takeaway on both of these guys. All right, that is our quick look at Urak Taar, the first Daemonsmith. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. I will talk to you later. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. So say we all. And always wash your socks.